We live in a world where everything costs too much. You pay a fortune for a shoebox apartment in New York, London, or Toronto. You pay for the privilege of sitting in traffic. You pay just to exist. We are taught that if you want a better life, you have to pay a higher price. But what if the world worked backward? What if instead of you paying a landlord, a government paid you? What if instead of saving up for 10 years to buy a house, a town sold you one for 13 cents? What if a city was so desperate for your energy, your skills, and your presence that they wrote you a check for $15,000 just to show up? This isn't a scam. It isn't a fantasy. This is the economic reality of 2026. Welcome to the flip side of the global economy. While some countries are bursting at the seams, others are facing a crisis of emptiness. They have the land, they have the infrastructure, and they have the history, but they don't have you. And they are willing to open their national checkbooks to fix that. In this video, we are going on a journey to the 7 places around the world that will literally pay you to live there. We aren't just reading a list, we are deep diving into the fine print. We are looking at the cash grants in Italy, the renovation millions in Ireland, the digital nomad gold mines in Spain, and the almost free homes in Croatia. We will tell you exactly how much money is on the table, who is eligible, and most importantly, what the catch is, because there is always a catch. Are you ready to stop paying for your life and start getting paid to live it? You're watching Fact Voyage. Let's pack our bags.
We are starting strong. We are starting with the one country that usually makes you think of billionaires, expensive watches, and $10 coffees, Switzerland. Specifically, we are looking at the tiny, postcard-perfect village of Albinen. Located in the canton of Valais, perched 1,300 meters above sea level, Albinen is stunning. It looks like the set of The Sound of Music. But a few years ago, the village faced a crisis. The local school was on the brink of closing because there were only a handful of children left. The population had dwindled to around 240 people. So the residents took a vote and decided to do something radical. They approved a subsidy to pay new families to move in. Here's the deal on the table in 2026. If you move to Albinen, the municipality will pay you 25,000 Swiss francs. That's nearly $28,000 USD per adult. On top of that, they will pay you 10,000 francs for every child. Let's do the math. If you're a couple with 2 kids, that is a cash injection of 70,000 Swiss francs, roughly 78,000 USD, just for becoming a resident. It sounds like the deal of the century. You get to live in one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful countries on earth, and they hand you a down payment for a house. But this is Fact Voyage, and we need to look at the fine print, because with Switzerland, the devil is always in the details. The reality check. First, you have to be under 45 years old. They want young blood, not retirees. Second, this isn't free money to rent a flat and ski all day. You have to commit to buying or building a home in Albinen that is worth at least 200,000 francs. The grant is essentially a subsidy to help you with that investment. Third, and this is the big one that most viral videos forget to mention, you need to be a Swiss resident. This offer is open to Swiss citizens or foreigners who hold a Permit C. A Permit C is a permanent residence permit, which usually takes 5 to 10 years of living in Switzerland to acquire, unless you are from certain EU countries. So you can't just fly in from Ohio or Melbourne tomorrow and claim the cash. You need to already be in the Swiss system. And finally, the golden handcuffs. You have to stay for 10 years. If you move away after 9 years and 11 months, you have to pay back every single cent. So the verdict, is it worth it? If you are already working in Switzerland or have the right to live there, absolutely. It is a massive financial head start in a country where real estate is notoriously expensive. But for the casual dreamer, it's a tough nut to crack. However, it proves just how valuable people are to these remote communities. They are literally investing in the survival of their village, one family at a time.
Let's move south to a place where the sun shines 300 days a year, the wine is cheaper than water, and the government has just launched one of the most aggressive relocation programs in Europe. Welcome to Extremadura, Spain. Extremadura is a region in western Spain, bordering Portugal. It is famous for its cured ham, jamón ibérico, its Roman history, and its stunning natural parks. But it is also one of the most sparsely populated regions in Spain. The young people have been leaving for Madrid and Barcelona, leaving beautiful towns quiet and empty. In late 2024 and continuing through 2026, the regional government decided to tap into the digital nomad revolution. They didn't just want tourists, they wanted residents. The offer: Extremadura has allocated millions of euros to pay remote workers to move there. The grants are substantial. If you are a woman or a man under 30 who moves to a town with fewer than 5,000 inhabitants, you get 10,000 euros, about $11,000 USD, up front. If you stay for a second and third year, they give you another 5,000 euros. That is a total of 15,000 euros or 16,500 USD to simply live your life and work your remote job in Spain. Men over 30 get a slightly lower base rate of 8,000 euros, plus 4,000 euros for staying, totaling 12,000 euros. Still, not bad for just showing up. Why this is a game changer? Unlike the Swiss offer, this is designed for you, the international remote worker. Spain has a Digital Nomad Visa that makes it legal for non-EU citizens to live there. This grant is the cherry on top. Imagine this lifestyle. You rent a beautiful, renovated townhouse in a village like Alcántara or San Vicente de Alcántara for maybe 400 euros a month. Your internet is fiber optic. Spain has amazing rural internet. You finish work at 5 p.m., walk down to the local plaza, have a beer for 2 euros, and watch the sunset over a medieval castle. And the government basically paid your rent for the next 3 years. The catch is that you need to commit to living there for at least 2 years. You need to have a remote job that allows you to work from Spain. And you need to handle the infamous Spanish bureaucracy. Paperwork in Spain is a sport. You will need a specialized digital certificate, a bank account, and a lot of patience to get the grant approved. But compared to other programs, this is incredibly accessible. It's not about buying a ruin. It's about bringing your income and your energy to a region that is desperate for life. In 2026, Extremadura isn't just a place on a map, it's arguably the best value for money destination for remote workers in the Western world.
Now, let's cross the Atlantic. You might think the United States doesn't need to pay people to move there, but the US is a massive country, and while New York and San Francisco are overcrowded, the heartland is fighting a battle for talent. The most famous, and still the gold standard in 2026, is Tulsa Remote. Based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, this program changed the game. It started a few years ago and has been so successful that it's still running strong. The deal is simple. If you have a full-time remote job and you move to Tulsa, they will give you $10,000 cash. But it's not just a check in the mail. They give you a desk at a high-end co-working space, a value of thousands of dollars a year. They give you 36 months of free housing membership perks. They integrate you into a community of thousands of other remote workers. Tulsa isn't a dusty cow town. It has a thriving arts district, incredible Art Deco architecture, thanks to the 1920s oil boom, and a cost of living that is laughable compared to the coasts. You can buy a mansion in Tulsa for the price of a parking spot in Manhattan. The competitors: Tulsa was the first, but now there's a whole remote worker belt across America offering similar deals in 2026. Ascend, West Virginia. They offer a package valued at $12,000. This includes $10,000 in cash paid out over 2 years, plus $2,000 worth of free outdoor recreation gear and passes. If you love whitewater rafting, hiking, and mountains, West Virginia is literally paying you to enjoy your hobbies. Choose Topeka, Kansas.
They are offering up to $15,000 if you move there and buy a home, or $10,000 if you rent. Topeka is aggressively trying to rebrand itself as a tech and innovation hub. The Shoals, Alabama. This region offers up to $10,000 to remote workers. The reality check. The catch here is mostly cultural and geographic. If you are used to the 24/7 hustle of Los Angeles or the specific lifestyle of Miami, moving to Tulsa or Topeka is a shock. The pace is slower, the politics might be different from what you are used to. The weather in Oklahoma, Tornado Alley, is a real factor. However, for a young family or a couple trying to save money, these programs are a lifeline. $10,000 is a moving truck, a security deposit, and new furniture. It removes the friction of moving. In 2026, the American dream of owning a home with a white picket fence is almost impossible in the big cities. But in these pay-to-move cities, that dream not only alive, it comes with a signing bonus.
Let's go back to Europe, but this time to the wild edge of the continent, the Atlantic coast of Ireland. Ireland has always been a place of emigration, people leaving. Now they want people back, specifically on their offshore islands. In a program called Our Living Islands, the Irish government is trying to save the communities on about 30 remote islands that are cut off from the mainland by the tide. We're talking about places like Innismore, where they filmed The Banshees of Inisherin, or Arranmore. The offer. This is where the numbers get huge. The government is offering grants of up to 84,000 euros, about 92,000 US dollars, to people who buy and renovate a vacant or derelict property on these islands. Wait, almost $100,000? Yes, but notice the key word, renovate. This isn't cash in your pocket to buy Guinness. This is a grant to save a dying building. To qualify, the property must have been built before 1993 and must have been vacant for at least 2 years. If it's derelict, meaning structurally unsound, basically a ruin, you get the full 84,000 euros. If it's just vacant but livable, the grant is lower, around 60,000 euros. The reality of island life. This is the most romantic option on our list, but also the hardest. Living on an Irish island is not for the faint of heart. You are at the mercy of the Atlantic weather. Ferries get canceled during winter storms. You might be the only person under 50 in your village. Access to healthcare and supermarkets is complicated. However, for the right person, an artist, a writer, or someone seeking profound solitude and connection with nature, this is incredible. You are being paid to rescue a piece of Irish history. And it's not just the islands. Ireland also has the Vacant Property Refurbishment Grant for the mainland, which offers up to 70,000 euros for derelict homes in towns and villages. So if island life is too extreme, you can still get paid to fix up a cottage in the countryside of Cork or Kerry. In 2026, with housing shortages in Dublin hitting crisis levels, this scheme is the government's way of saying, please go west. We will help you build a life there. We can't talk about getting paid to move without visiting the king of this concept, Italy. You've probably heard of the €1 homes. We've covered them before. But let's be honest, a €1 home is usually a pile of rocks that costs 100,000 euros to fix. In 2026, we are interested in cash. The island of Sardinia, one of the famous blue zones where people live to be over 100 years old, has a massive war chest to fight depopulation. The regional government allocated 45 million euros to give grants of up to 15,000 euros to people moving to municipalities with fewer than 3,000 inhabitants. The deal: the money must be used to buy or renovate a home. The grant cannot exceed 50% of the total cost of the purchase or renovation. So, if you buy a house for 30,000 euros, the government gives you 15,000 euros. You basically get a house for half price. But there are other towns on the mainland pushing even harder. Look at Prešicje Aquarica in the Puglia region, the heel of the boot. A couple of years ago, they announced a scheme offering up to 30,000 euros to those who buy a dwelling and take up residency. The lifestyle, this is the La Dolce Vita option. You are moving to a place where lunch lasts 2 hours, the food is locally grown, and the community is tight-knit. Sardinia, in particular, offers a quality of life that is hard to quantify. You are surrounded by some of the best beaches in Europe, ancient history, and a slower, healthier pace of life. The catch? Employment. These villages are empty for a reason. There are very few local jobs. This option only works if you are a remote worker, a pensioner, though check visa rules, or an entrepreneur bringing your own business. Also, you must become a full-time resident. Italy is notorious for its taxes, and if you become a tax resident, you are paying Italian taxes on your worldwide income. You need a good accountant before you sign anything. But think about it. You are in a stone house on a Mediterranean island, eating fresh pecorino cheese, and the government paid for half your roof. That is a pretty sweet deal.
Number 6 takes us to Asia. Japan is facing the world's most severe demographic crisis. The population is shrinking and everyone is crowding into Tokyo, leaving the countryside, the Inaka, full of ghost houses, known as Akiya. In 2026, the Japanese government is paying families to leave Tokyo. The offer: if you are a family living in the 23 wards of Tokyo and you move to a designated rural area, the government offers 1 million yen, around 6,500 to 7,000 USD, depending on exchange rates, per child, plus a base amount for the family. So a couple with 2 kids could receive roughly 3 million yen, around 20,000 USD, to relocate. The Akiya bonus. This cash grant often pairs with the Akiya banks. These are databases of abandoned homes that local councils are giving away for free or selling for virtually nothing, like $500. Some towns even offer renovation subsidies on top of the relocation cash. We are seeing foreigners and young Japanese couples buying massive traditional wooden farmhouses, houses that would cost millions to build today, for the price of a used car. The reality check: Japan is not for everyone. The language barrier is significant. In rural areas, English is rarely spoken. You need to be willing to learn Japanese and integrate into the community. Rural communities can be conservative and socially complex. There are unwritten rules about trash sorting, neighborhood cleaning duties, and festivals. Also, unlike the digital nomad visas in Spain, Japan's visa options for self-employed foreigners are stricter. Though they did launch a digital nomad visa recently, it is only for 6 months and doesn't lead to residency. The relocation grant is mostly targeted at people already with residency in Japan, like work visa holders. However, if you can navigate the visa hurdle, living in rural Japan is incredibly safe, peaceful, and affordable. You can live like a feudal lord in a 10-room house surrounded by mountains with high-speed internet and Amazon delivery, all paid for by the state.
Finally, we arrive at the most viral and perhaps the most unusual offer on our list. We are in Legrad, Croatia. Located in northern Croatia near the Hungarian border, Legrad was once a bustling hub, but like many places, the population declined. The mayor, Ivan Sabolic, decided to make headlines. He put abandoned municipal houses on the market for 1 kuna. When Croatia switched to the euro, that price became approximately 13 euro cents. Yes, you can buy a house for less than the price of a gumball. The offer? The town sells you the house for pennies. But obviously, a 13-cent house needs work. So the municipality also offers a grant of roughly 3,500 euros, approximately 4,000 USD, to help with renovations. The catch?
You must be under 45, you must be in a marital or extramarital partnership, you must not have a criminal record, and you must not own any other property. Crucially, you have to stay for 15 years. The status in 2026? This program comes in waves. They release a batch of houses, they sell out, and then they wait. It's not an open buffet, but it represents a wider trend in the Balkans. Places in Croatia and Serbia are seeing the value of bringing in young families. Legrad is quiet, it's rural. It's not the Dalmatian coast with the yachts and the Game of Thrones tours. It's deep, authentic countryside. But for 13 cents, it is the ultimate why not for a young couple looking for a foothold in Europe. It offers a debt-free life. Imagine owning your home outright on day one. No mortgage, no interest rates, just you, a hammer, and a fresh start.
So what does all this tell us about the world in 2026? It tells us that the old rules of economics are shifting. For a century, people chased money into the cities. We crowded into tiny apartments, breathed smog, and paid exorbitant rents because that's where the jobs were. But technology has cut that cord. Now, your value isn't just your labor, it's your presence. These towns and countries realize that a community without people is just a collection of empty buildings. They're willing to invest in you because you bring life. You bring children to the schools, you buy coffee at the local cafe, you fix up the roof that was falling down. Whether it's the $78,000 family package in the Swiss Alps, the $10,000 handshake in Tulsa, or the 13-cent adventure in Croatia, the opportunities are there. The question is, are you brave enough to take them? Would you trade the convenience of the city for the silence of an island? Would you trade your mortgage for a renovation project in Italy? Let us know in the comments, which of these offers would you actually take? And if you've already done it, tell us your story. If you enjoyed this guide to the world's best relocation hacks, hit that like button and subscribe to Fact Voyage. We're your passport to the world's most fascinating truths. I'm your host, Safe Travels, and I'll see you in the next one.